Yes, yes, yes. What's up? What's up? It's your boy Sports Nut, aka Akintunde, back with another one. Make sure y'all subscribe to Akintunde Coyote Nation, Akintunde Coyote Experience, and Akintunde Coyote Today, as well as Living Room Gangster. So y'all can see the videos. I'm putting some good videos out on those other channels. Remember I told you guys a long time ago I'm going to start putting the best videos on other channels. This may go on one of the other channels. This may not even go on Akintunde Coyote Nation. All right. So, we all know about slavery in Libya. But one thing we don't know is that black folk is blaming white folk for this. What is it with black folk being so damn terrified of them Arabs? It's been going on for like 10,000 years too. Listen to this. The whole thing with Obama was fake. He was just an instrument for white supremacists. I see a regular white man when I see him. This is on a post about the Arab slave trade. Okay? They blaming Obama, they blaming Obama, who really is just a white guy, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's a white guy who married a black woman. He's not an African American. You know, even I'm more African American than him. I was raised in D.C. to a single African American mother, even though my father's African and I was born in Nigeria. I was raised in D.C. to an African American single mother in a black neighborhood around Negroes. Obama was raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. Anyway, they blame it on him and they blame it on white supremacy. Understand what the Libya slave trade is really about. Also understand that everything negative that is happening over in Africa is 100% orchestrated by the white supremacists. This Tariq Nasheed. We did a video on him, a couple videos on him this past week on the Akintunde Coyote Nation channel. What is it with you Negroes always trying to let the Arabs off the hook? Don't you understand that, you know what I think is? I think there's some brotherhood that blacks think they have with Arabs. Some kind of, what is it called? Some kind of conglomerate or coalition they think they have with Arabs. Like, well, they ain't white, so they, like, people of color type thing. I don't know. And I have had a very, I've been blessed to be around a lot of white people, black people, Hispanic people. I went to boarding school, and at our school we had tons of races. I'm talking about blacks were the minority. You had a shitload of Asians, Koreans, Indians, Africans, whites, Arabs, other Middle Eastern people, all types of people, Polish, South Americans, Hispanics, you name it. And I never heard that term people of color used by any of those other races. The only people used it was blacks all the time and Hispanics when they wanted something. When them Hispanics didn't need nothing, it was Latino, man, Chicano pride, man, brown pride, man, Latin, man. As soon as they needed something, we people of color. So I think that's what you blacks think they have this coalition with Arabs too, that just simply doesn't exist. I hate to tell you this, but yeah, I know you got a cool Arab friend, and I know when you go to the corner store, that guy's really nice down at the corner store sometimes. And I know that Muslim guy, because all y'all practice Islam, and that Muslim dude who came and opened up a store in your neighborhood, he practices Muslim Islam, but they're not really into you like that, black man. And y'all need to stop blaming everything on white folk and attack these Arabs for what they're doing to y'all. Us. Stop blaming white people for this. It looks weak. I remember back in school days, it would be like, some dudes that was scared to go at certain dudes, but they go at other dudes. They used to pick and choose. They go at certain dudes. Toughest, I'm talking about you overhear them talking to certain dudes, you'll be shaking, thinking like, damn, that's a gangster ass nigga. Another nigga come up, hog spitting that same dude's face. And tell him he better not wipe it off. And then pull out his dick and piss on him. And the same dude wouldn't do nothing. You'll be like, damn, but you was just going at cuz like super gangster. I remember those days, man. I'm thinking about it right now with so many of y'all. I remember you niggas. You niggas knew who to fuck with. You niggas knew. One thing about you niggas, it's the same thing as it was in school. Y'all niggas knew who to fuck with. I'll give y'all that. I will give y'all that. That's one thing I will give niggas. I'll give you that. It must be something in the black DNA. They must know, since white people got white guilt and white people, apologizing for shit and feel bad about shit, they can keep going at them. They know them Arabs don't give a fuck. Them Arabs still practicing slavery till today. They go at white people for some shit that happened 40 years ago. They go at the Arabs doing it today. Never stopped. Arabs never stopped. The Arab slave trade was the practice of slavery in the Arab world, mainly in Western Asia, North Africa, the Horn of Africa, Southeast Africa, and Europe. This barter occurred chiefly between the medieval era and early 20th century. The trade was conducted through slave markets in these areas, with slaves captured mostly from Africa's interior. That's the marching you Negroes from your homeland, from wherever they got you from. The Arab slave trade across the Sahara Desert and across the Indian Ocean began after Muslim, Arab, and Swahili traders won control of the Swahili coast and sea routes during the 9th century. These traders captured Bantu peoples, who unfortunately, Negro, that's who you is. You're not the Egyptians like y'all want to be. Y'all wish y'all was the Egyptians. Maybe this wouldn't be happening to y'all, because they're the Egyptians. These traders captured Bantu peoples from the interior in present-day Kenya, Mozambique, and Tanzania, and brought them to the coast. There, the slaves gradually assimilated in rural areas, particularly on the Unguja and Pemba Islands. Some historians assert that as many as 17 million people were sold into slavery on the coast of the Indian Ocean, the Middle East, and North Africa, and approximately 5 million slaves were bought by Muslim slave traders and taken from Africa across the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, and Sahara Desert between 1500 and 1900. The captives were sold throughout the Middle East. This trade accelerated as superior ships led to more trade and greater demand for labor on plantations in the region. Eventually, tens of thousands of captives were being taken every year. The Indian Ocean slave trade was multi-directional and changed over time. Uh-oh, here goes something you niggas not gonna want to hear. To meet the demand for menial labor, Bantu slaves brought by Arab slave traders from southeastern Africa were sold in cumulatively large numbers over the centuries to customers in Egypt, Arabia, the Persian Gulf, India, European colonies in the Far East. Slave labor in East Africa was drawn from the Zanj, Bantu peoples that lived along the East African coast. The Zanj were for centuries shipped as slaves by Arab traders to all the countries bordering the Indian Ocean. The Umayyad and Abbasid caliphs recruited many Zanj slaves as soldiers, and as early as 696, there were slave revolts of the Zanj against their Arab enslavers in Iraq. Had you niggas in Iraq in 696. Ancient Chinese texts also mention ambassadors from Java presenting the Chinese emperor with 2 Zanj slaves as gifts, and Senchi, which is Zanj slaves reaching China from the Hindu kingdom of Srivijaya in Java. So they were selling you niggas up in China. Okay? The Zanj Rebellion, a series of uprisings that took place between 1869 and 1883 AD near the city of Basra, situated in present-day Iraq, is believed to have involved enslaved Zanj that had originally been captured from the African Great Lakes region and areas further south in East Africa. It grew to involve over 500,000 slaves and freemen who were imported from across the Muslim Empire and claimed over tens of thousands of lives in lower Iraq. The Zanj who were taken as slaves to the Middle East were often used in strenuous agricultural work. As the plantation economy boomed and the Arabs became richer, agriculture and other manual labor work was thought to be demeaning. The resulting labor shortage led to an increased slave market. Okay. Their job was to clear away the nitrous topsoil that made the land arable. The working conditions were also considered to be extremely harsh and miserable. Many other people were imported into the region besides Zanj. They called you Zanj people. Uh-oh, here we go. Muslims also enslaved Europeans. According to Robert Davis, between 1 and 1.25 million Europeans were captured between the 16th and 19th centuries by Barbary corsairs who were vassals of the Ottoman Empire and sold as slaves. These slaves were captured mainly from seaside villages from Italy, Spain, and Portugal, and also from more distant places like France and England, the Netherlands, Ireland, and even Iceland. They were also taken from ships stopped by pirates. The effects of these attacks were devastating. France, England, and Spain each lost thousands of ships. Thousands. Long stretches of the Spanish and Italian coasts were almost completely abandoned by their inhabitants. This is a part of European history that they keep out of the history books. Europeans don't like to talk about this. This is very well documented, though. During the time, it was very well documented during this time. I've read books. A great book on this is White Gold. Read a book called White Gold. I read that book probably 15, 16 years ago. White Gold. Okay, so Spanish and Italian coasts were almost completely abandoned by their inhabitants because of frequent pirate attacks. Pirate raids discouraged settlement along the coast until the 19th century. Periodic Muslim raiding expeditions were sent from Islamic Iberia to ravage the Christian Iberian kingdoms, bringing back slaves. In a raid against Lisbon, okay? This is in Europe. In 1189, for example, the Almohad Berber Muslim Caliph Abu Yusuf took 3,000 female and child captives, while his governor of Cordoba, in a subsequent attack upon Sils in 1191, took 3,000 Christian slaves. Okay? So they were slaving white people too. Okay? Well documented. This is something that white people like to keep out of their history books, that they were also enslaved by Arabs. Heavily enslaved by Arabs. Like, not even a secret type thing, like up until the 19th century. There's a lot of books on this stuff. A lot of memoirs written at the time about this stuff. But when they made their history books that we study in school, they left that shit out. Okay? So the Arab slave trade been going on and it never stopped. And it's still going on today. And one thing about the black slaves, they castrate the black slaves. The black ones got castrated. Okay? So if you're a black slave, you're getting your jimmy cut off, okay? All right? You got your jimmy cut off. I don't want to get into all that. Well, they still are saving, selling them today.
Anybody would treat a human.
So they're still selling them today, castrated.
A male slave on Facebook, and he stated that they've castrated the man, rendering him after 4 years, and some were actually killed by their owners. Some men are treated the same way. In fact, 2 years ago, a Saudi man was advertising a male slave on Facebook, and he stated that they've castrated the man, rendering him impotent. This is the English version of what he said. So this is the thing: if you're not going to Saudi for tourism or for pilgrimage or to take up a professional job, please be careful. Please and please be careful. Again, I wish the African leaders would just develop our countries so that our people would not continue to suffer in the hands of such people in the name of searching for better life. And lastly, if you know someone or someone who knows someone who's desperate, how long would...
Okay. So this video used to be a lot longer. I have it on another video that I did, but they went through the whole Facebook post. The guy was just talking about how he had castrated the slave and all that stuff, and how he would obey, and he was a good slave, this, that, and the third. That's commonplace in the Arab world. Go on Facebook, just like how we got Craigslist here, Backpage. You go on Backpage, you find you some prostitutes or a chick for the night, a little freak for the night. Or you can go buy like a laptop or anything, or you can even get a car on some of these sites that we have in America. You can buy it, or like on Facebook. You know, you can buy things, trade things. In the Arab world, you can buy slaves, castrated black men on Facebook. I don't really want to get into that. That's disgusting. Because they castrate, the castration process is done with no anesthesia, and the wound is cauterized with a hot coal. So after they cut your stuff off, they close your wound with a hot coal. And only one out of 10 men survived the procedure. That's why they capture so many slaves, because and the reason they castrate you because these Arab guys have large harems of African slaves. Like they have like how they talking about all those secret prisons they got over there in Libya where these guys got all these slaves. Back in the day, most Arabs had like 50 to 100 African women that just lived, that he just had as his harems. He would have sex with them. And they needed men to guard the harem so that the women would be in line. But they didn't want the men to have sex with the concubines. That's what they called them. So they would castrate them. And just for example, in Egypt, in Cairo alone, there was a traveler who went to Cairo in the early 19th century, and he said that there were 5,000 eunuchs in Cairo alone, black eunuchs in Cairo alone. So he said that because of the harshness of the surgery, because it's done with no anesthesia and no like sanitation, that it probably took about 100,000 slaves, black men, to make those 500 eunuchs. And eunuchs were very expensive because of that cost. The fact that, it would take 10 slaves to make one eunuch. Eunuchs were very prized back in those days. As you can see, I've done a lot of research on this stuff over the years. I've done so many videos on this over the, since I've been on YouTube, that, it's really easy for me to talk about this stuff because I've done so many, and they were, many of them had farms where they would just have little black boys, and they would go castrate the little black boys, and here we go, yeah, that's what it looked like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so, and this is what's going on today. And it's just a shame that you blaming white folk for this, or white policies, and what you mean white policies? They never stopped doing it. What, you gonna blame this? What about then? So was it white policies then? When they was enslaving white people and y'all? When they was enslaving y'all and white people? Very well documented how they enslaved white people. Because remember, white people were not like they were now. They were in this dark age. They were in a very backward state at a certain time. White people weren't always the dominant culture. A lot of you guys know that. But, this Muammar Gaddafi, he protected a lot of Africans. He was one Arab. He was an Arab, but he was very. He liked Africans, sub-Saharan Africans, and he protected them. And when Obama killed him, he opened the floodgates. Yeah, I'll give you that. But what about this? And then the thing about it never stopped. This is probably one of the farms they had where they just like, whenever they see a boy they like, they go take him out, castrate him, and sell him. Or the guy, or the sultan or whoever is in charge of the plantation use him for his own personal sex slave. Y'all gonna blame all this shit on white people. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. The thing that I don't like is the people like DJ Khaled and French Montana. The Arabs that are like in black lanes or like in black, or the Arab corner store owners, or the cool Arab dude that get to say nigga. They know this is going on in their country. Like, this is as common as crack. Like, a crack dealer or hustling on the corner. Or thugging. Or gangs. It'd be like if you went overseas and you acted like you didn't know about the Bloods and the Crips. Or you didn't know about the crack dealers in your neighborhood. They know about this. They still come over here. And the funny thing about Colin Kaepernick, and these Arabs don't say anything about it. They don't say anything about it. Colin Kaepernick's fiance, Nessa Diab, she's Egyptian. She's an Arab. Full-blooded Egyptian. She ain't no. Well, she look like she got black in her. No, she doesn't have any black in her. She's not black. See them roots? A full-blooded Arab. Well, black Arabs is just a nigga always gonna tell you some stupid shit he don't even know. A nigga just gonna say some shit without even it ain't even gonna mean nothing. Arabs is black, and another nigga say and then that's it. But this is an Arab woman. Nessa Diab from Egypt. Instead of talking about the slavery that goes on in Egypt, which will soon be uncovered because it's going to be a domino effect, just like the sexual allegations started with Harvey Weinstein, and some of y'all was dumb enough to think he was the only one doing that shit. Some of y'all niggas are fucking retarded. But they thought he was the only one doing that shit. Well, damn, Harvey Weinstein is a bad guy. Oh, well, we solved the case now. Nothing to see here. Just like how that shit opened up a Pandora's box, this Libya shit gonna open up a Pandora's box because it's done in all the Arab countries have slavery. You saw the little video where the girl showed you the Facebook post of the in Saudi Arabia where they selling slaves on castrated male slaves on Facebook. Colin Kaepernick, Mr. Black Power, is married to an Arab woman who came over here and got on some Black Lives Matter shit talking about white people, how evil police is, but in her country they'll cut your dick off and sell you as a slave on Facebook. And she ain't said a word about that. Okay? Mrs. Little Miss, she pretty as hell, don't get me wrong. Little Miss Diab ain't said a word about that. She over here running her mouth talking about Black Lives Matter, racist police, and white people. Whole time, you go to her country, Colin. Whew. Not you, Colin, because you rich. You probably can stay in certain places and have security, and, you know, they ain't going to do that to you. But other black men, watch out, Jack. They not playing. They had your ass in a dungeon somewhere, on a plantation somewhere. And these are her relatives. Like, she must be related to people who do this stuff. Like, she's Egyptian. Don't all of us got a crack deal in our family? Don't all of us have a thug or a gang member in our family? That's how common it is. And she over here running her mouth talking about white people, how evil white people is. Question, man, get in the comment section. Why do black people try to blame this on white people? Peace.